So let's start with the summary of Unfuck Your Brain by Faith Harper. Introduction. Anger, depression, anxiety, and grief are all just adaptive strategies of the brain. These emotions and behaviors are just a response to our environment in the past and our everyday lives. You are reading this book because maybe you felt like you don't even understand yourself. You ask yourself, why do I feel so tired even if I haven't done anything? Why do I feel like shouting at anyone I meet? Why do I want to cry all day in my room? Then, you meet people who keep telling you to knock it off and get yourself together. People keep telling you what you must do, without knowing why you even feel what you feel. You want to follow their advice, to live freely like a bird. You want to focus yourself on productive things, to create meaning in life. You want to, but you can't. You feel stuck. People think you enjoy this misery, but you don't. This book exists to let you know that you are the creator and controller of your own life. It's time you stop listening to other people and your past self. It's time to listen to the real you. You have to understand yourself to do that. And this book will teach you how to do it. Faith Harper is a certified therapist. In this book, she laid out a structure that can help anyone with trauma take the first step to freedom. How does our brain work? In 1895, the Lumiere brothers discovered cinematography. They created their first ever film entitled Arrival of a Train and allowed 33 viewers to watch their movie in a theater. The Lumiere brothers were excited to see the people's reaction, but it didn't go according to plan. As the film of an approaching train was presented right before their eyes, the people came running and stumbled down to avoid it, even though it was just a picture. It was the first time people encountered a moving picture. Watching a film is very new to them. All their lives, their brains were programmed to know that trains are dangerous and they should be avoided. Therefore, when the viewers saw a train, even if it wasn't real, their brain told them to run and avoid it. In this chapter, we will go deeper into the science of how our brain works. We will talk about 3 essential brain parts that play a massive role in the way you think. First is the prefrontal cortex or PFC. Next is the limbic system. And third is the brain stem. The prefrontal cortex or PFC is the one responsible for thinking. It is located on the front part of our brains. It is responsible for all events that include thinking logically and rationally. The PFC is in charge of receiving all information and deciding how to manage our actions. This is also one part of the brain that takes too much time to grow. It wasn't even in full maturity until you reach 25 years old. The prefrontal cortex is like the boss. It is highly connected with all parts of the brain. By gathering information, the PFC takes action. Meanwhile, on the back side of the PFC exists a different side of the brain called the limbic system or LS. If PFC is in charge of the thinking, the LS is responsible for the emotions. We already discussed that the PFC is connected to all parts of the brain. Hence, thoughts are also associated with our feelings. In between the PFC and the LS is the anterior cingulate cortex or ACC, which manages the conversation between PFC and LS when making a decision. The PFC and LS decide how to respond to the situation at the moment. Basically, the point is the more we feel, the more we think, Thinking and feelings go hand in hand. We can't easily separate them. One thing you also need to know about the limbic system is that it also stores memories. We are talking about unforgettable memories, to be exact. It could be the memory of the first time you had a dog, your happiest birthday, and more. There's nothing wrong when your brain stores happy memories, but what about bad ones? Yes, at this point you now start to understand why we remember memories, especially a bad one. Our problem lies here in the limbic system, and now we will discuss its two main parts, the amygdala and hippocampus. The hippocampus stores long-term memories. It is responsible for learning and making sure that memories are not easily forgotten. On the other hand, the amygdala is the one that connects emotions to memories. The amygdala cannot store every memory, and it doesn't know where you left your car keys or the recipe for your aunt's pudding. Amygdala can only store specific memories, which we call episodic autobiographical memory or EAM. These memories are event-based, which means the amygdala keeps memories about time, location, and people. These are memories that build your values, beliefs, and perspective in life. In other words, our episodic memories are stored in our hippocampus. Then, the amygdala attaches emotions to these specific events. For example, flowers, in general, mean beauty and happiness for people. Suitors give flowers to someone they like, and flowers are also used to decorate a room to make it pretty. However, on a regrettable event, you may have associated flowers with sad emotions. Whenever you see flowers, you always remember the death of your loved one. Hence, whenever you see flowers or even smell them as you walk through your neighborhood, the beauty of the flowers doesn't attract you anymore. Instead, you are always brought back to the tragic moment of your life. Whenever you see flowers, your brain pulls out your episodic memories and the emotions attached to it. This is how your brain decides how you would respond to the situation. Either you will fight, flight, or freeze, and that all depends on our brainstem. The brainstem is responsible for one's ability to become alert, aware, and conscious of what's happening. So basically, when you see flowers, the brainstem tells the brain about them. Then the amygdala will remember the memory associated with flowers and transfer that information to the brainstem and the PFC. Thus, the brainstem will start telling the PFC to take action. It will go through what reaction they already did before and repeat the process. Therefore, when you freeze at the sight of flowers, it will always be the same reaction every time you see flowers. Just like the example we had at the beginning of this chapter. This is how our brain works. Whether we face a train or a flower, our brain will act in what the amygdala remembers. If you run at the sight of a train, you will always run. If you cry at the sight of flowers, you will always cry. But don't lose hope. In the next chapter, we will discuss the practical and effective ways to retrain your brain. Yes, you can change how your brain works. We are born with no fixed skills or capabilities, especially with our brains. All we need is the courage to restart. Safety and stabilization. To retrain your brain, there are three main levels to remember. These are safety and stabilization, remembrance and mourning, and reconnection. This aims to show you that rewiring your brain and changing your life is possible, even without much money to spend. Even with no vacations or travels, change is possible as long as you are ready to commit. Safety and stabilization is about recognizing and understanding what's going on with your brain and what triggers it. By identifying the trigger, you mend your brain by taking control, knowing that it's time to stop the amygdala from messing up your brain. It's time to tell your brain who it should follow. The biggest problem in coping is that people don't even remember the coping mechanism. Hence, before we start, grab a piece of pen and paper and write all the coping mechanisms mentioned below. Then you have to make sure that you will place this paper in areas where you can see it often. The coping mechanisms that you will learn are called mental grounding, physical grounding, and soothing. Grounding is when you remember a situation of great misery, but you try to pull yourself back to the present. The mental grounding technique is about keeping yourself present and aware of your environment. You can do this by distracting your mind, by reciting your favorite quotes, or by uttering your mantra or goals in your life. You can also do mental grounding by observing your surroundings and naming every color and object you see. This way, you can divert your attention from thinking about your trauma and stop your brain from panicking. One of Faith Harper's patients came up with "Fuck You Amygdala" as a mental grounding technique. This technique has been helping that patient cope with his traumas well. You can try this every time your trauma starts to kick in by saying, "Fuck you, amygdala." You remind yourself that it was just your brain messing up again. You are not living in the past, and you are living your life in freedom in the present. Physical grounding is all about focusing on your breathing instead of the memories. Be mindful of your breathing in and out. If your amygdala is triggered by memories again, you can divert your attention by focusing on your breath and being aware of your presence physically. Soothing is about developing self-compassion in the midst of a difficult situation. Instead of entertaining your thoughts about the past, you can try to visualize things you love. This can be a sunset, a safe place, or your favorite person. You can also watch something that interests you, or do a hobby that sparks joy and creativity in you. Another way to soothe yourself is by going out and having a different environment. Try getting some heat under the sun, or appreciate nature. Being in a peaceful and beautiful place can be helpful to get rid of negative emotions. Remembrance and mourning. The next level is remembrance and mourning. This is about going back to your story and processing it without being triggered. It is about taking control of your story and not allowing your story to control you. Remembrance and mourning is the level where you will think about your trauma as how you remember it. You are reliving and revisiting your story along with the events and emotions associated with it. To cope, you will need the help of a therapist, a family member, or a friend. You can also use the help of a journal. Sharing your story and processing it is one of the most important yet hardest parts of coping up. It is important that before you share anything with other people, you should consider if you are comfortable telling these stories to them. In this chapter, you will learn how to share your stories with other people at your own pace. Only do this when you are ready. If telling your story to someone can help you move on, then by all means do it. The first is by writing or journaling. This is a good start if you want to share your story. By writing, you can even surprise yourself with the thoughts and feelings that flow that you never thought were there. The second one is by telling your story to a person. This is not telling your story in a detailed manner and the whole truth. This is just about letting out the burdens and baggage you've been carrying for years. We will never realize how many harmful and painful words we've been telling ourselves for years if we don't say them out loud. This part of the therapy can be challenging. Therefore, it is best to ask for someone who can support you and help you at this stage of life. Reconnection. The last level is reconnection. This level is about doing what it means to take your life back. This is about not letting your trauma redefine your identity and not allowing it to ruin your life forever. This level is about building yourself and building your connection to people. That no matter how many daggers life throws at you, you will never fall because you are you. You are a survivor, a conqueror, and anyone would be lucky to have you on their side. One thing you have to remember at this level is that you are not forced to do anything. Only do this voluntarily and don't allow other people to dictate to you what to do. Be the one who controls your life, and the first step to do that is only to do things you want to do. Reconnecting to ourselves and the world is hard. However, you need to know that you are mightier than your traumas. You got this. The first step to reconnecting is creating meaning to your story. The happiest people in the world can find beauty and meaning in chaos. They can always find the silver lining. However, finding beauty in the midst of chaos doesn't mean making the chaos less than what it was. In simple terms, you know that what happened is terrible, but you also know that this event can help you to become more resilient, braver, and stronger. Don't be reactive and start being proactive. Don't let your trauma go to waste. Use it to create a better you and start learning from your mistakes. Learn from your past and look forward to the future. If you wake up today, that means you still have a purpose to fulfill in this world. Combine the wisdom you learned from the past and the motivation you have for the future to take action in the present. The next and last step is finding forgiveness. Most people think that forgiveness is about forgiving other people who have hurt them. While that is true, forgiving is also about forgiving yourself. Sometimes the person we hate the most in our lives is ourselves. We hate the decisions we made, the mistakes we committed, the scars and flaws we have. But no matter how angry you are with yourself, you are your only greatest ally. Therefore, stop blaming and feeding yourself with words and thoughts that won't help you. You are special, you are unique, and you matter. Get professional help. There are a lot of ways to bring yourself back together on your own. Most of those ways are written in this book. However, conquering this fight alone can sometimes be not enough. This book is intended to show you different options on how to deal with your brain. Thus, this chapter aims to present you with significant ways to cope with your trauma, not just by yourself. First is traditional talk therapy. This therapy works because you talk to a therapist with excellent training and knowledge due to their profession. The therapist usually has a broader perspective and understanding of your life simply because they don't have the memories and experiences you had. Thus, they can provide you with valuable insight, techniques, and coaching to help you in your journey. However, make sure to find a certified therapist who would know exactly what you need. If you need a therapist for your traumas, you should look for a person who has certifications and experience in trauma therapy. If you don't find a person that will fit exactly what you need, it would be hard for you to communicate and solve the problem. Next is the allopathic meds. Allopathic is just another word for mainstream medicine, the popular method for Western countries. This is the prescription that most doctors and therapists advise their patients to take. Even though medicine is helpful and convenient, this should not be the end of your therapeutic journey. Allopathic medicines can help you heal faster, and they can play a big part in your therapeutic journey. However, we should still encourage our bodies to heal and adapt on their own. Medications can help you, but none of it compares to if you can help yourself heal naturally. The third and last one is by using complementary therapies such as acupuncture, massage, and chiropractic treatment. Acupuncture helps specific points of the body to heal or reduce pain. Massage can help people learn how to relax and feel comfortable. Because of constant trauma triggers, we often find ourselves distant from our bodies. We forget that we are in the present, and we start to relive the memories of the past. Thus, a massage can help you reconnect with your body and be comfortable on your own. Chiropractic treatments are a holistic approach for any physical pain. Since depression and other emotional cases can manifest physical pain, this treatment can help mend those pain points and help you feel relieved. All of these therapies focus on the physical body because mental and physical health goes hand in hand. By taking care of your body, you also help your mental state to become more stable. Getting professional help when you are used to doing things on your own may be challenging, but remember, no man is an island. One way or another, you would need other people's help and vice versa. If you are weak right now and you ask help from the stronger ones, that's okay. There will be a time when you will be the strong one, and you will be of service to the weak ones. Conclusion. The book's primary goal is to help you understand that you are not hopeless, whatever your situation is right now. You can retake control of your life. You can be free again. You can live again. Things will get better and life will be better. You don't need to live your life in misery forever. Your trauma does not define you. The only reason you always remember all those bad things is because of your amygdala. It is the part of your brain which stores your miserable memories and associates them with negative emotions. But you can get over this by retraining your brain through grounding techniques. This is when you will try to pull yourself back to the present whenever your trauma is triggered. You can also cope by telling your story through journaling or talking to people. Only do this voluntarily. Never force yourself to do things you never want to do. Do the healing at your own pace. Lastly, if you finally thought you couldn't do this alone, you can always ask for professional help. Talk to a therapist, take medications, or have a massage. Give yourself a break and just enjoy and appreciate the help of the people around you. It's time to reconnect with yourself and to the world. By finding meaning to your story and forgiving yourself, you can restart your life again. So I hope you like the summary as well as our efforts behind it. Jai Hind.